Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review afternoon briefing today with myself, Derek Clark, and I'm joined by Jonny McFarlane. How are we doing this Wednesday afternoon, Jonny?
Good. Spent a lovely morning with Cowden and Beef manager Maurice Ross for a piece that I'm going to be writing for the weekend. Really fascinating stuff from Maurice about his time at Cowden and Beef down in the Lowland League as manager there, and we also had a chat about the demands of coming through as a youngster at Rangers. Obviously, Maurice came through back when it was exceptionally difficult to get into what was a brilliant Rangers team at the time. So some really, really good insight and a great interview. So sorry about not being here for the kind of 9:30 start, but it was unavoidable. So here we are now, and hopefully we can make up for the tardy start.
Yeah, I'll let you off, Maurice, as a top man. Looking forward to that on the website, folks. And we've got that great offer on just now, as you can see on the ticker below. £2 for 2 months' worth of content. It's a great deal. Just head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe for all the details. And as you can see, our sponsor is the One Football app. It is your one-stop shop for all your footballing needs. You can keep up to date with all the latest Rangers news. You can get notifications to your phone, and you can also keep abreast of all that's going on, not only in Scottish football, but down south as well and further afield in Europe also. It's available for both Android and iPhone users, and the good news is it's totally free, so it won't cost you a penny. Lots of people saying great things about it, so it's One Football app, folks. Go and get it downloaded. Okay, lots of comments coming in already. Great to have this interaction so far. Just drop us a comment, folks. We'll try and get to as many as possible. I think we'll kick off, Jonny. Another addition to the Rangers coaching staff, edging ever closer. Seri Bowley, hopefully that's how you pronounce the guy's name. He's set to join the backroom staff at Rangers. He's penned an emotional farewell to the City Group. He linked up with Giovanni van Bronckhorst previously back in 2019, so they do have a history of coaching together. I'll just quickly run through this message he posted on his Twitter page last night, at midnight last night, no less. He says, "Today was my last working day as head of coaching support at City Football Group. It has been a privilege to work for a prestigious organisation who are among the leaders in multi-club ownership, 12 countries and 5 continents. I'm blessed to have witnessed the power of the beautiful game to unite people in pursuit of a common vision. From 6 clubs in 2019 to 12 today, there's been so many special moments, league titles and championships, promotions, club-trained player debuts, coach transitions, to name a few, unforgettable." He goes on to say, "I've experienced and learned more than I could ever imagine in the past 3.5 years, and I'll be forever grateful for the opportunity afforded to me. To global footballer colleagues, your determination and relentless commitment will continue to inspire. Keep being awesome." And he says, "Finally, to all technical football staff, thank you for allowing me to be part of your journeys. It has been an honour to share the roller coaster that each season brought. I will continue to support from afar. Good luck and thank you." So it looks like he's going to team up with Giovanni van Bronckhorst, Jonny. Well, the One Football app just came back on there. I'll try and get that off, folks. A slight technical mix up there. We'll try and add Jonny back to the stream here. Whoa. There he is. Yeah, a few gremlins in the system there, but we're back up and running. Yes, so talking about Seri Bowley, Jonny.
Yeah, I heard everything. I was in the background.
Right, fantastic. What do you make of that? I think it sort of makes sense that he's got a history of working with Giovanni van Bronckhorst with the City Group. He's bringing him in, beef up the backroom staff. Looking forward to seeing how he gets on with working with Gio.
Yeah, I think anyone coming from the City Group, you've got to say that they are in an elite environment there. There's no doubt about that. You don't have to be an expert or have to have watched the Amazon documentary to see and be aware of the amount of money that's been spent down there. And they're kind of looking for only the best when it comes to people that are getting involved. So I think he'll be a very good acquisition. And anything that the club can do to strengthen Gio's team and ensure that he's got all the equipment available to hand to ensure that Rangers are in the best possible shape going forward, I think can only be seen as a good thing. So I think that's a great move, and it's difficult for us to obviously tangibly measure the impact a coach has on the team, but nevertheless, what we can measure is the results in the field, and the more confident the manager is in his backroom team, I think the more likely you are to see good results. So definitely a good move there.
Yeah, Aldo's not happy that we're a bit late today, John. He says,
Oh,
how do you
geez.
use my morning routine? I do apologise about that, Aldo. Yeah, as Johnny was saying, he had a great chat with Maurice Ross earlier on, so I look forward to reading all about that. Some interesting points that are coming in. I wanted to touch on Stevino Cadinho with a good comment here. New coach, exciting era, strong group of players. Club is in a strong position with talent and experience off the field. Are we stronger than we've ever been, guys? Club's in a good place. It's a good question. I think we can go back. I think it's, of course, it's well documented the journey the club has been on. But at this point, certainly a lot of optimism heading into this campaign, Johnny. It looks like the club is in a good place. They've recruited well, a lot of excitement in the stands with regards to improving the squad. I know that Joe Aribo and Calvin Bassey have departed. But for me, that on the pitch, it looks strong, and off the pitch with this appointment as well, it looks like the club is getting it right.
Yeah, absolutely, Derek. I've got to say, and this might be slightly worrying for some of our viewers, but I've never been more bullish and optimistic coming at a season as a journalist covering Rangers. You look at the squad and the signings that have been made, and I just have to say, on almost every one, once you dig into the background, once you look at what they're going to add, it feels like they're very, very smart signings. It feels like they're adding in areas that Rangers absolutely needed to add to take them to the next level. If you look at the domestic scene, we've been saying for quite a long time about the need to add goals and assists. And I think from what I've seen, Tom Lawrence, Rabi Matondo, Antonio Cholak, should I say, all these guys look tailor-made to give Rangers that final push in terms of the domestic scene. In Europe, we know that the squad's in a good place. That's not been torn asunder. We still don't know for 100% about Ryan Kent and Alfredo Morelos. If those guys are tied up, and to be honest, at the moment, I would say I would expect that to be the case. What a summer it's been. And if it all goes wrong, which I don't expect it to, you can't say that the club haven't absolutely backed Gio. They haven't absolutely got their ducks in a row, certainly on paper, because that's what it looks like to me. I think you've got to be very confident they can go and take on the Celtic side, who haven't really improved. I mean, they've added the boy Bernabe, but in terms of the money that they've spent, and it's been significant, it's been to stand still in terms of adding players that were on loan last year.
Yeah, I know you say this, Johnny, but they took a while to get going last season, Celtic, and they're a good side. I don't think I know you're saying they stand still, but they are a very good outfit. They know how to beat teams in the Scottish League, so I don't think there's any room for error, if you like.
Listen, I totally agree with that, Derek. I'm not dismissing what Celtic are like on the field. They're a definite threat, and to deny that is myopic. It's just not correct. But where were Celtic better than Rangers last year? They were better at being on the front foot and going through the teams in the Premiership, cutting through them like a knife through butter in an attacking sense. I think Rangers have added to that. I've not ever really felt that Celtic were better 1-11 than Rangers in terms of the team over the course of the last 12 months. And Celtic fans will say that's ridiculous. Look at the Parkhead game. I think that was more a question of tactics. Postecoglou plays in quite a unique way in terms of the Scottish game, and I think it took a little bit of time for the Rangers players to get up to speed with that. They're very, very dangerous. But after that game, I think you saw a gradual progression. Celtic's win at Ibrox was a very tight affair. I don't think the stats suggest that was a game that Celtic really should have won. And despite narratives that may have surrounded the game, I thought Rangers were marginally the better team in that game, to be honest. And then I thought terrific in the semi-final, and then again at Parkhead. So it was a case of getting to grips, I think, with what Ange Postecoglou's team do, which is quite specific, quite interesting, and needed a little bit of time to get used to it. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has always said that he's better once he gets a chance to see a team in the flesh, and then he really understands what they're all about. And I think you can see the progression of that across the 4 Old Firm games that were played between these two managers last season. I don't know if you'd agree with that or not, mate.
Yeah, I think it's going to be nip and tuck, like Gallant Pioneer said as well. I can see it being a tight, close run affair. I don't think there's much between the two squads, to be honest. And the proof will be in the pudding, of course. It all kicks off this Saturday, and I'm excited to see how this sort of the team gets on for real. I know they've had a decent pre-season. If the new boys seem to have integrated well, but it starts obviously for real on Saturday. I like this comment from Mary Cunningham, Johnny. She says, "Good afternoon, lads. The reviews Ant and Deck. Wonder who's Ant and who's Deck."
I couldn't even tell you which one's which, to be honest. That great joke. I can't remember if it was on Extras or something like that, but the guy called them, I think it was Love Actually, the film Love Actually. The guy goes Ant or Deck when he's talking to them. You know, yes, Ant or Deck. Because they're ubiquitous. It's, nobody, I don't think, can pinpoint which one's which.
Well, Walter Zinger says Johnny has a bigger head.
Undoubtedly.
So I think you're Ant. Then I'll
take move back a little bit so you can see it. Definitely got a fatter head, that's for sure.
Let's take some of the questions. So many coming in, folks. I'll try and get through as many of them as possible. A good comment here coming in from Scott Ross, and this ties in. We've got a piece. James Sands spoke to us on Monday, the training day, and he was speaking about he's hoping to obviously extend his Rangers stay past next summer. He's on loan, of course, from New York City, talking about his World Cup hopes. He wants to be in that American squad, but the US coaches told him he has to be playing more for him to make the team. Scott Ross says, I think we'll see Sands start on Saturday besides Goldson. I think he's going to have a big season. Now, we have seen him beside Goldson at various points during pre-season, Johnny. I think his versatility will make him very useful this season. I think he'll play a fair chunk of games. And he did say on Monday that it's good to have that full pre-season. He came in off the back of the MLS season, never really had time to get integrated in the squad. He was thrust in, wasn't he, up at Pittodrie for that game? But I think we may see a lot more of him this season.
Well, people are saying that. I think the time will tell on that one. What is absolutely certain is that Rangers will need to move the ball quickly on what will be a sticky pitch at Almondvale. So I think Giovanni Van Bronckhorst will pick the player alongside Connor Goldson that he thinks is best able to do that. Because if you're slow, if you're ponderous in your build-up against Livingston on that pitch, you're going to struggle to break them down. We know how organised they are. We know how physical they are. We know how diligent they are. So you need someone who's going to be able to take the ball out, break through the lines, and cause problems in an attacking sense from the back. Obviously, Ben Davis is the clear example of that as a left footer who's got a lot of quality. It's whether or not he's fit enough. Obviously, he's come through that 3-2 win over Queen's Park, but not a lot of football, if that's all we're talking about. So it may be that he's not quite ready, and it'll be a choice between John Souttar or James Sands. I have to say, John Souttar, player that I think Rangers did well to sign. I think he'll be a good signing for the club in the long term. Don't think he's covered himself in glory in pre-season. That said, Spurs, West Ham, not going to come up against that kind of quality in the Premiership. Even Celtic, not as good as those two teams. So realistically, while people have been giving John Souttar a bit of stick for his performances against Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, he is always going to be tested up against that quality player, as any centre-half would. You saw Connor Goldson get a bit of stick for allowing Harry Kane to shift onto his right foot. I mean, that was just an unbelievable finish. You can criticise him for it, or you can say, well, he did it unbelievably quickly. It was a split second. You just got to hold your hands up and say that's just world-class elite quality for me. Yes. So if you can do that to Connor Goldson, who's, I would say, the best centre-half in the league, then John Souttar, who's not as at that level and not been tested to the point that he's playing in a team that's got to the Europa League final, then I would expect it's going to take him a little bit of time to get up to the level that Connor Goldson's at. But I think there's acres of development in John Souttar. He's always been someone that I've kept an eye on. I've talked before about how I first saw him in the flesh as a 17-year-old for Dundee United. I've got a friend who supports United, and I was up visiting him for a weekend, and I went along to a game with him because he's a season ticket holder. Saw him coming through as a young kid, and immediately thought, this is a kid that's going places, someone who's got quality on the ball. And his career's been derailed by injuries, by really unfortunate situations. I think if he can put those things behind him and just focus on what he's good at, then you'll see there is the potential there to see really, really good development. In the same way as, listen, Connor Goldson's a far better player than he was when he walked through the door at Ibrox 3 years ago. years ago, 4 years ago. 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's not the player then that he is now. So I think it'd be churlish to expect John Souttar to come in and be the finished article. It's going to take a little bit of time to get used to it. But regardless, I can understand why people are thinking Sands might start alongside him, because Sands is a midfielder. We know the Dutch mentality on terms of moving the ball quickly out of defence, the Cruyffian methodology, the Cruyffian philosophy of kind of playing out from the back. So I wouldn't be surprised one bit to see James Sands start. But I'm not yet convinced about this idea that James Sands is going to see a lot of football this year. He may well do, but I still see Ben Davies and Connor Goldson as the starting pair of centre-backs. And I don't see James Sands being a starter in midfield. So I think it depends on injuries.
Yeah, and I think Gavin Pioneer, just to say, I think Davis will be huge for us, particularly domestic. I think he will be, but again, he's another one that has had injuries in the past as well. I think it's a squad game, the modern football game, so I'm sure everyone will have a part to play. Comments coming in here, Johnny. People disagreeing that we're the Anton deck. Aldo says Laurel and Harden. Curry Muncher,
that's probably more realistic, mate. Yeah, to be honest.
Curry Muncher says Beavis and Butthead comes to mind, and Susie says more like the Chuckle Brothers. So there we go. Pick your comedy duo, folks, and we'll take that. Some other comments coming in. Ian Thompson with a good point, Johnny. We've had a really good window. I'm fairly happy with the new signings, but don't you think we could do with a keeper and maybe another frontman? Frontman, yes. Keeper, not so sure.
I think that's a fair assessment, Derek.
Yeah.
I think if you're being greedy, you go out and get a £5 million keeper. Do Rangers need that?
No.
I think John McLaughlin's a really good keeper. I think Alan McGregor, some of his woes were maybe a bit overstated last season when you look at the numbers. Yes, he had a couple of bad games. He also made a lot of good saves. You look at the game against Spurs, didn't look like a guy who was struggling to me. Okay, ball at the feet, perhaps not as comfortable as some of the modern keepers that you watch down in the Premier League, the Edersons of this world, the Allisons of this world, but that's why they're 70 million plus players. I think there's enough between the two of those there, and I think spending big money on a replacement at the moment, I don't think that's wise. I think you see how they get on and go ahead with that this season. In terms of striker, Kemar Roof is an interesting one, Derek.
Yes.
I noticed there's been a few stories come out that Kemar Roof is fully part of Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's plans. Listen, I wrote about this yesterday. I think Kemar Roof's a terrific player. I actually think if he's fit, he's not at Rangers. He's in the Premier League or La Liga. Very clever, not very British in his style. Interprets space well. His movement means he can play across the front three. I really like him as a player, capable of the incredible, as we saw in the Europa League. A couple of great goals, obviously, the incredible lob in Belgium, and then the superb curler against Benfica. 2 memorable goals on top of the Braga quarter-final goal, 2 goals against Celtic. You know, he's capable of stepping up in the big moments. There's no doubt about his quality. But he's injured quite a lot. He's got recurring calf issues. There's been times when Rangers have really, really needed him to step up, and in terms of quality of performance, he did step up towards the end of last season, but then found himself out injured again at the crucial time for the semi-finals, and of course the final itself, which I think if Kemar Roof had been fit and firing, or Alfredo Morelos had been fit and firing, Rangers would have won. And unfortunately, that's the brass tacks of it for me. I get the sense that. And nobody's told me this, but I get the sense that if someone came in with a good offer for Kemar Roof, it might be something the club would look at. He is just not really that robust in a league that requires you to be robust, because at Rangers you're going to play 65 games a year because they're going to be deep in cup competitions. The league is obviously intense in terms of a 38-game season, and then you've got Europe as well. If you factor in the fact Rangers are in the group stages guaranteed, that's a number of games added into the mix. It's a lot, and it's testing and it's physical as well. It's not like we're talking about a league environment that's like a Spain or maybe an Italian football where it's more technical than it is physical. So it puts a lot of demands on players, and you just wonder if perhaps there might be a feeling that they'd be better off with having somebody that could that would be available more often, maybe not quite to the same level of quality that Kemar Roofe is, but someone with the potential to become as good as that, who has got a record of being physically robust. Do you think Kemar Roofe is someone that you would suppose that want to see walk out the door is not the right phrase, Derek, because I don't think anyone would want to see a player of his quality depart, but it's a question of, is this the right environment, the physicality required, the squad makeup? Can you put so much wage, so much resource into a player that's maybe only going to be available 50% of the time?
Not really, no. You need someone that's maybe even not as good as Roofe, but you can rely on to play. There's no point, as someone mentioned there, just warming the physios table or what have you. You need to be on the park. That's why Rangers paid the big money for him. He's been brilliant when he has played. His goal return is sensational, but it's just unfortunate that he does have that history of little niggles. I know Sheffield Wednesday manager Darren Moore was asked about him. They were linked with him, and he refused to comment on him. I think there's no smoke without fire with there. I'm sure that would be a club that would be good for him. For Kemar Roofe, it just depends if he's happy moving down to League One in England. That is I know Sheffield Wednesday are a big club, good support down there, but it's whether he wants to play at that level, really. So it'll be an interesting one if Kemar Roofe. As Ian Thompson says, simply put, we can't rely on Roofe, and it is as harsh as that sounds, and that is very much spot on. Good to have Bill Bam getting in touch. He says he's finally caught alive. Hello from 110-degree California. Absolutely incredible stuff. It was only last week, I think, we were all suffering in the sweltering heat here in the UK. Luckily, it's a lot more manageable temperatures here, certainly down here in Warrington. But good to have your company, Bill. A good question here from Bob as well. Did you see Tillman make an appearance on Saturday? He's one player we've not really discussed. He can play up top, Johnny. We know that. We have seen sort of glimpses of him in pre-season. Could you see him? Could you see him start the game on Saturday? I think I could certainly see him coming off the bench at some point.
Sorry, Derek, you broke up there for me. Which player are we talking about there?
About Tillman here. Bob says,
Tillman. Yeah. Well, I was impressed, Derek. Very impressed with the cameo that he made against Spurs. When he came on, he looked like a guy who's capable of unlocking a door. Very good with the ball at his feet. Looks like he can pick a pass. So I think this is the kind of game where Malik Tillman might actually be able to make an impact. Now, whether or not he'll start, I suppose, is another story. I've not really thought in depth about the starting lineup for the game. Yeah. We'll probably start to think about that Thursday/Friday once we've spoken to Gio, get a sense of the lay of the land. But I've heard numerous things that Tillman's making an impression and people are liking what they see of him. So I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that he could come in and make an immediate impact, because you don't make it at Bayern Munich unless you've got a bit about you, and they don't certainly throw you into a Champions League game against Barcelona unless you've got the quality to cope in that situation. Yeah,
I've got to say, I'm excited to see him in action. He's certainly one that certainly captured the imagination. And from our scouting reports, he looks like a real physical unit, like Brian says. There was reports yesterday, Johnny, 4 players apparently been told to try and find new clubs, namely Niko Katic, Stephen Kelly, Glenn Middleton, and Jack Simpson. What do you make of that? I think in terms of Rangers' futures, it's hard to see how they would force themselves into not only the starting 11, but match day squads. I think for the good of those players' careers, then I'd imagine a move might be beneficial for them all this summer.
Oh, no, definitely, mate. I mean, this is kind of something we've been aware of for quite some time. And it's self-evident, really, isn't it, that the Rangers squad, especially around the central defensive areas, is just so packed with bodies that the club just have to do something about chopping that back just to keep players happy. You don't want unhappy faces, tripping themselves around the dressing room because they're nowhere near getting a game. So it's not even like a financial thing, although of course that's part of it. Niko Katic is an interesting one because there was conflicting reports yesterday that no, he wouldn't be going anywhere, and then later on that he would. I think, Derek, you've maybe got a slight update on that.
Yeah, I was told by a source close to him that they're looking for what's best for both the player and the club, which means that they're looking for a solution to Niko Katic getting game time and heading out the door. Whether that's on loan somewhere or a permanent move, who knows? But certainly it appears that he doesn't have a future at Ibrox this season anyway. And with the strength and depth in defence, like you say, Johnny, as much as everyone loves Niko Katic, I just can't see how he gets back in that side, unfortunately. I think Rangers, you've said this before, have sort of progressed and moved on from the team that it was him and Goldson. Remember when Gerrard first came in? I think they've sort of evolved somewhat, Rangers now, to a point, and I don't think Niko Katic is going to be part of that, unfortunately.
Yeah, listen, I agree. He's a fan's favourite, there's no doubt about it. He's wholehearted, and I think there's something about him, there's something there. But does he fit into this style? Honestly, coldly, unemotionally, I don't think so. And I'm not surprised that perhaps his time is up and that a solution needs to be found. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think he'd be ideal for the English Championship. And I think his agents should be looking at getting him down there, if anywhere, because we're talking about a league where physicality is a premium, where balls are shelled into the box. I know, listen, the Championship was developed. It's not the league it was 10 years ago, but there's still an edge to the physicality down there. And I think Katic would really do well in that environment.
Yeah.
So any deal, if you could get him down to a league like that, where you could get a major sell-on fee as opposed to perhaps a transfer fee, I think it might be smart, because Katic is that kind of player who could, who in terms of his skill set and what he can do, could impress in the right team. But for Rangers and for what Rangers need, if you look at players that are there already, likes of Suter, likes of Goldson, Davies, Sands, all these guys are really, really capable of bringing the ball out from the back and starting attacks. And we've seen in terms of the evolution of Rangers in the last 4 years, that's what you need to help break down these teams that make up the Scottish Premiership. You need to start from the back. And I just don't think that's Niko Katic's game, unfortunately for him.
Yeah. Just before we go, a quick mention for the B team last night. Good result. They were playing East Kilbride. Quite a cracker there at K Park. They won by 4-3. Zach Lovely scoring after 30 seconds. He then hobbled off. A lot of concern with regards to that. But the B team coach, David McCallum, says it's nothing serious. It came off due to an irritation in his knee and told the manager at halftime that he was fine. So that is good news. Great things expected of this young lad, just 16 years of age, and he scored again last night, a well-taken goal as well, so I'll be keeping a close eye on him. Okay, folks, that'll do us there. Just a reminder of that offer we've got on the website just now, just £2 for 2 months worth of content. Yeah, Johnny, you want to butt in here?
Yeah, Derek, obviously we've got the £2 for 2 months, but also, guys, we've got an unbelievable offer, completely free of charge. We're giving away a signed shirt from last season. I've actually got it here.
Wow.
I've got it behind me. You can see it. It's phenomenal. It's every player from the squad that took the club to the Europa League. And if you go online and sign up at www.rangersreview.co.uk/email bulletins, you sign up for our Rangers Insider newsletter. One of the people that signs up will receive this as a special gift, as a prize. So it's completely free. I urge you to go on, sign up to our email. What it means as well is you get the email, which is free. It's an opinion piece every day sent to your inbox. If you're at work, and work can be a bit boring at times, you're sitting there, in that will pop to your inbox, and you will get a free piece of content. And of course, on top of that, you have the opportunity to win this shirt. And so I would suggest you do that.
Yeah. What a prize it is, folks. And as Johnny says, absolutely free. Just sign up to our email bulletins on the website. Sensational stuff. Okay, we'll be back again tomorrow at the usual time of 9:30. But until then, enjoy the rest of